Hello everyone, this is Julie with the Be Creative stamp class. Today I'm running a little bit behind, but that's okay. We're gonna get started. We had a lot of snow here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and so the roads were a little bit snow covered, so I decided I would just take it a little bit slower and make sure that I got here to be able to show you the beautiful cards that we're gonna make. And later I have class tonight at 6, so I'm hoping everything goes well there. Please let me know if you're joining me. I will try to watch as much as what I can, and if you have any questions, please ask them. I am going to flip the camera down and I'm going to show you what cards that we're doing. Okay, so today we are working with the, oh gosh, rainy there. I think I would rather have the snow. Not that I really like snow, Connie, but yeah. And let's see. Hello, everyone from Kansas City, Missouri. Nice to have you joining me. So today we are going to work with the branching out stamp set. And the only thing I did was I pulled a sentiment in today from the sentimental framing. Otherwise, everything comes directly from branching out. And I also use some of the dies, okay? So our first card is this pretty blue one. And I'm gonna show you how I blended that and then how I did my stamping on there. And then our next card is actually a white one. And I'm going to show you how I did the edges. They're a little bit different than normal. And then I went and did this one, thinking of you, but I wanted to carry this theme through the inside. So the inside, I also used that die cut for your white piece. So we're going to go through all of that. If you have any questions, please ask me as I'm going along. I am trying to watch the comments as well, but I am just glad that everybody made it and everybody is going to be joining me. I also have some, let me flip here. Okay, I'm also going to have my January cards, my February, March, and April cards that I will share with you today. And then anyone that gets my cards through the mail, I will have a special for the February, March, and April, okay? So I'll talk about that when we get there, okay? All right, I'm gonna flip back and I'm gonna start. Okay, so let's move some of this stuff out of my way so I don't constantly use the same one. Set these over here. And let's see, set our demo cards off to the side. So, oops, and of course, didn't I grab the wrong one? Let me get the right one. I need the white base with the blue. There we go. Okay, we're gonna start with this one, which is our card. Set this out, so you're gonna have a base. You're gonna have a blue piece for the inside and a white, because I 99% of the time will double mat them. Let's set that out of our way. You're going to have an embossed piece that will go right on the front of our card, and then you're going to have the white linen thread. You're going to have a white bow. Have some gems. And our gems are from the Frosted Iridescent Dots, okay? And then you're going to have a white piece and a smaller white piece. The smaller white piece is the piece that we're gonna blend on and then we're gonna stamp on. So we're gonna set our other stuff off to the side a little bit. Just kind of rushing in here a little bit today, so I feel a little unorganized, but I'm sure as time goes, we'll figure it out and get it all together. Okay, so I'm going to use a blender brush and I'm going to use the Balmy Blue, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend around the outside, but I want to let a little bit of the inside white, okay? So we're going to get that blended. Set that off to the side here. There we go. Got here. All right. I always start off the paper. The only thing that I've noticed with my Balmy Blue, and I'm sure others have too, it seems like it takes forever and ever to get the color onto our paper. And I will make sure that I re-ink this again tonight before my stamping class, because it is one of those things that it's just, I don't know, it's there and yet it's not there. But if I start it on my paper, I'm going to get that darkness. So I'm going to just keep working it slowly and working it in here and working it all the way around. And once I get around, I can always come back and add more color. So I can always add, I just can't take it away. So kits were mailed out. If you reached out to me and asked me for kits, the December kits were already mailed out with Christine's mailings. And some of you reached out ahead of time and asked for the January kits. Those went out with your December kits as well. So you're going to have 2 of them in there. So that'll give you a few to hang on to. And I've started writing the year on it in case you're like me sometimes and tuck things away and then have to figure out when did I get that one. So it seems so long since I've been here doing this, and it's because we actually were gone for a little bit. We were in Florida for a couple weeks. We were in Tennessee and then by my daughter, and then we did go to Florida to our place. So we will be leaving again in January. A little bit more in here, and I will be gone. I'll be doing the January live yet. February, March, and April lives will be live but not live. I'm going to pre-record them so you actually will have them, and I can send your kits out before I leave, or I have my downline, Karen Wetstein. I'm gonna beg, plead, and borrow to her that if she has to, if she would bring kits up here by Christine to have mailed out. But I'm hoping that people that want them would actually reach out to me a little bit before I leave. So I will be leaving the Friday of the escape, of Christine's escape. So on that Friday, after we get home, my husband usually sleeps when he gets home in the afternoon. So he'll sleep till probably like midnight or so, and then we'll probably, if the weather's decent, we'll probably head out around that time. Okay, so I think I'm good with this amount of blending. So I'm gonna set my Balmy Blue off to the side and my blender brush so the ladies can use that tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the smallest of the branch, and I am going to get Early Espresso. And I am going to stamp the branch in here, noting that I want the end of that branch to be off my page a little bit so that it doesn't look like it's just hanging out here in mid-air. So I'm going to just stamp it off here a little bit. Okay, so like that. I'm gonna set, you know what, I did bring it. I'm gonna set this off to the side. So, and what I'm going to do now is I need to put the greens in there, and I need to also put in the pine cones. So I'm going to start with the pine cones. I've noticed there's like little knobs here, and those are the ones that I'm going to add the pine cones to. And I am going to use pecan pie with this one. So let me get some on here. I'm going to get my head in here because I want to make sure I've got that right on there. There we go. And get my third one on there. So normally when I kit up approximately, okay, where did that one go? Oh, there he is. Get him on there. I usually do about, that one's gonna be right in here. I usually have 21 kits total, okay? And sometimes I sell out, sometimes I don't. So what I'm gonna say is right now I have kits that I have available, and for the February, March, and April kits, those, and January, those are actually all kitted up already. However, if I do need to make more, because I have an abundance of people that want them, I can do that yet. So let's get that paper out of the way here, make it a little easier. I'm using Mossy Meadow, and I decided that I was going to use the single green instead of the cluster because it allowed me to move it right where I want it to. So we're going to stamp up in here, and depending upon where you put your branch, how far up or down you put your branch, will determine like how many greens you can actually put on here. So now if you stamp and your greens, some of them look a little bit lighter than the other, that's okay, because if you've looked at your pine trees, I'm sure not all of the greens are exactly the same color, and we're gonna put one right over that. You can put as many or as few of greens in that you want. I actually have a little branch right up here that I'm gonna just sneak partial one in, but I'm gonna turn it off to the top. Okay, so if you see, like here on my greens, depending upon where I grabbed it, the ink off my ink pad, it's a little bit lighter, and that's okay, because when I do, when I go and get greens from my sisters, they're not all dark green. So, all right, we're gonna go with that. And then we will do some stamping on the inside, but I wanna get this one all situated before we get done. So we're gonna stamp the happiest birthday. Depending upon how far you put that, you can put it over here. If you've got your leaves down too far, your greens down too far, you can easily put that over here. So I'm gonna put it on this side. And we're gonna use Memento ink on that. And I'm gonna stamp it right in here. If you actually wanted it over there, I would suggest that you stamp it before you put your branch down, okay? Now we're gonna go back to the Balmy Blue, and we're gonna add, in the stamp set there were these little dots, and I'm gonna add some of them with the Balmy Blue just around the edges, just to kind of fill in this space a little bit. Again, you can add as many or as few as you want. I thought it just kind of pulled it all together a little bit by just throwing a few of those little dots in there. Okay, So that is it for the outside stamping. So as long as I've got the inks out, I'm gonna actually do the inside piece right away. And we'll get that stamped. So, on the inside, I put wishing you a day filled with happy moments. And then I also put a little bit branch out here at the top. So, I'm gonna start with the branch. Get my early espresso ink. Oh, who else do I have here? Mary Lemke, hello. Mary Novak is here, Susan. I have a Polly here from Central North Carolina. Nice of you to join me. Who else do I have here? Mary Novak, you would like this kit if I have any left. Send me a message, Mary, and it'll be easier for me to check. I believe I have 2 of these kits left. So I'm going to stamp this up here in the corner, coming off the page a little bit. I have a little ink there, so let me get that cleared up before I stick something in there, because that would not be good. There we go. Clean that off. Dry that a little bit. There we go. Okay, now we need to go back to our other stuff and add our pine cones. Again, you can add as many depending upon how far down you brought your branch. Okay. Oh gosh. I guess I didn't do that one very well. Let's see if I can do that again. Oh, I got lucky there. I didn't have to start over. There we go. So we have 3 pine cones, and we're going to add some greens using the Mossy Meadow again. And there we go. I'm going to throw one in here so it doesn't look like it's kind of hanging out there alone. And maybe one up in there. There we go. Little bit of a stem here, so we'll make it look like there's one up in that area. Clean that off of there so I don't get that all over my paper. Okay, hello, thank you for joining. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add the sentiment inside that says wishing you a day filled with many happy moments. And you can put it off to the side or put it kind of under, and I'm going to put it a little bit under those greens. Stamp it right in here. There we go. Now we should be done with our stamping on this card. So this is the inside. I'm going to quick clean up some of my little bit of a mess here so that I don't get it all over myself or the cards. That's not my favorite thing to do, is clean up, and my stamp room usually looks like a disaster, but that's when I know I'm enjoying stamping. So anyone else do that in their stamp room? Just stamp and make a mess and stamp and make a mess and then figure they should actually clean it. I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing I do. I can't really tell you for sure. All right. We're going to get a little glue happy. Take some of these pieces out. I am going to start by burnishing the card base. And then I'm going to actually take the piece that I embossed here, and that was embossed with the birch wood. I'm going to attach that to the front of the card. Okay. There we go. Now that we have that attached, we're going to take these two pieces and we're going to attach them. Okay, like so. This is one of my favorite stamp sets, or dies I should say, is the branching out. I love those shapes. It really helps for on a lot of other cards. Between that and the arches, I like both of them. And we're going to glue this to the inside blue piece, like so. Get that on there. And I'm going to put it in the inside so it's kind of out of our way right away. Okay. It's kind of a nice fall birthday card. Okay, so all we need to do is put the ribbon on here yet, and the bow, and our gems. So I'm going to make a tear and tape sandwich. Prep some of this for later. And I'm going to grab two pieces and I'm going to put them on the back here. I'm going to use a pick here and take those off. There we go. And then I'm going to do, with the white baker's twine or white twine that we have, I'm going to attach here and bring it around, attach, fold it back, and come around again. Okay, you'll have more than enough. So put it up as high or as low as you would like. We're gonna make our sandwich on the back so that they stay. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach this to here, but I am gonna pop it up. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some dimensionals. Oh, let's cut these up. No sense wasting those. I might as well use them. One in the middle. We'll do the corners to make sure that they don't fall down on me. There we go. And put a couple more on here. Thank you, Kay. I'm glad you like the card. It's a nice one. It's a beautiful birthday card for anyone who has kind of a winter birthday. So, and you could easily make it a Christmas card too if you really wanted to. You would just have to change your sentiment. Okay, we're going to add this right to the front here. There, they like to stick all over. Okay, I'm going to grab a glue dot, and because we moved our sentiment from this side to this side, we're going to just put our bow over here. I'm going to kind of put that glue dot over those two to hold them together, and we're going to add our little bow. Your bows are made for you, so there we go. Now we just need to add our gems. So, and again, I'm going to put a large one, and I usually put a little one with a large one. And then if you have another large one, or if you have a little one, whatever you have, just pop him over on the other side there. And there is your first card. Now you could easily Stella it up. You could, you know, Stella those pines if you want, the cones, give them a little bit of glow inside. You could also do it on the inside, because who doesn't like a little bit of sparkle on their card? There you go. And that would be your first card. So it's not too difficult. It's just, the Balmy Blue might be the stuff that'll take you the longest. And like I said, if you really want the happy birthday over here, I would suggest that you would stamp it first, which would show you about like where to bring your stem up or down as far as you need to go. Okay, so that is card number 1. Let's get him out of the way. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see which one I'm going to grab here. We're going to move on to this card. So this is our white card. It's pretty awesome. It's a little bit different there with this one. Move some of my stuff out of the way. So you're going to have some embellishments, a label, some early espresso baker twine. You're going to have 2 of the peacock greens, and you're going to have 3 of the earthen toned little pine cones. You're going to also have 2 of these branches. You're not going to use both of the full amount on the front, so we're going to take part of it and we're going to actually put it in the inside. I'll show you how we're going to do that. And then you're going to have an embossed piece that goes on the front. This is embossed with time-worn texture. Thank you, Susan. Polly, thank you. I'm glad you guys like that card. And then you're going to have for double matting for in the inside. Okay, we're going to set those off to the side for a minute, and let's get started on some of our other little items that we need to do. So on these branches, what you're going to need to do is color the berries, and I used the dark real red blend. So you're just gonna, oops, I think I used the skinny end because it just worked a little bit better, I think. So we're gonna color those berries, which they'll take you a little bit of time, but it's okay. We've got time. And we're gonna actually color all of them on both because, like I said, we're going to use partial inside as well. So as long as we had the berries left over, I thought it was really kind of nice to use that branch with the berries for in the inside, give you something different for there. Does everybody have their Christmas decorations all up outside? Your trees done? Are you ready for Christmas, I guess, is what I'm asking. I am ready except for wrapping gifts. Not exactly my favorite thing to do. So if anybody likes to wrap gifts and you want to step over, let me know. I'll be more than happy to set everything out for you and let you wrap them. I'm sure that's probably not what you're wanting to do. Of course, I did have one person a couple of years ago volunteer to wrap, but she didn't live very close to me, so I think she was doing it just to be silly. Okay, so we got one done. Let's continue and get the other one so we've got it all set to go. I should have colored one of these ahead of time, so I only had to show you how to color one, but it's okay. We'll get her done. You will have a little bit of it left over even after we use it on the front of the card and the inside, so if you need to, you can use those pieces other places. I liked how the cherry cobbler actually colored in here really well, or I'm sorry, the real red, not cherry cobbler. You could use cherry cobbler as well if you didn't have real red. Almost done. There we go. So on the front piece, what we're going to do, the piece that is dry embossed with the time-worn texture, I'm going to use a sponge, and I am going to use some pretty peacock ink. Okay, we're all done with that. I'm just going to set them off for now. So let me grab the pretty peacock, or the pecan pie, I'm sorry. Gosh, pecan pie. So I'm going to use a sponge dauber, and I'm going to get some of that. I want that kind of antique-y, older look on my card. I'm just going to go around the edges and get that. And then I want to rough up my edges, which if you don't like this technique or you don't want to do that, you're not, it's your card. You're welcome to do it your way. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my glue scissors because I don't, I don't really want to wreck my paper scissors, but I'm going to use the edge of it, and I'm going to roughen up the edge to give it that old look. And I'm just scraping along. It gives it a ripped look that makes it look like it's an old piece. Also, when you attach this to the front of your card, make sure you look at it because there are words on it, and you want to make sure that you've got your words going the correct way. Not that everyone will see them, but if they did and they were able to see that, they would want their words going the correct way. Okay, one more side. I think we're good. It just gives it, I don't know if you can see that real well in the camera, but it gives it kind of that little rough looking edge. So let me wipe off this before I get all of that on my other stuff. Okay, so we're going to take the front of the card, or the card base, and we're going to burnish that. And then what we can do is we can actually attach this to the front of the card. And let me look at my words to make sure. Yep, I had them upside down. That would not have been good. Okay, we're going to get him on here. Just know that when you do this technique, your edges sometimes do not, like, they're not going to always be completely flat, and that's kind of what you want. You want that looking like it's not really flat. Linda, this is your first time watching me. Well, I'm happy to see that you joined me and you just got that set today. Oh, you're gonna love it. That is this, like I said, this is, I think, one of my favorite sets. I don't know, I just, something about that one, it was like, it's kind of cool. It just, like, it just spoke to me, I think. I don't know. Okay, let's see here. We're going to take one of the peacock ones, put the scissors away, and we're going to use our paper scissors, and we're going to actually snip that apart, because one of these need to be cut apart. Okay, so that I've got that all set to go. Let's see how much I have here for branches. I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom of this one. Let's see. So I'm going to need about this much. So this much I cut off on the first one. And the second one, I know I'm going to cut more on that off. That one I cut right about here. which gave me this piece. So I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 berries. It's going to allow me to round this one off a little bit here. This is the piece that I'm going to use on my inside here. So that's going to give me that inside berry look. I'm going to set that off so I know that one goes there. Okay, because we are going to have to finish a little bit of work on there. Now we need our label stamped, and I used the Wishing You a Day filled with many happy moments, and I also used the pecan pie on that. So let's get him stamped. All right. There we go. Okay. Close him up. And then what we're going to need to do, let me get some of these cleaned up here so that I can not stick my arms in these. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. So now what we need to do is we need to work on our assembly. And I did bring my reversible tweezers today, which are, to me, a godsend. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm also going to grab the other one. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of glue to the back of these. And then I'm going to let them sit off to the side for a little bit, if I can get my glue to work. And what happens is they get tacky, and when I go to put them on my card, I don't get the glue squishing all out. So I'm going to set that one off to the side, add a little bit here on this one. I had not used reversible tweezers. I hadn't even known about them until a good friend of mine did something, and she's like, oh my God, you have to have reversible tweezers, and she was absolutely right. So I am going to add a little bit of glue to the back of these right away, because same scenario, and I like it better than I know some people use like a sponge and put it on, but I just prefer this way. I'm going to just grab some of these. I will show you as it kind of dries, like you don't see the white, you don't see all the white of it, and then I know that they will attach. So, and this little guy, we're gonna grab some on him. Does anyone else do this, or do you actually use like the mat and actually put it on that way? Or do you put your glue on like this and let it sit for a while? So while I'm gonna let that just kind of sit off there, better do this one for the inside. I'm going to stamp the inside message right away before I forget, and then we can actually sponge on that one. So that's my inside piece. And the inside, I am gonna stamp my sentiment here, and then when this gets a little sticky, I will stick that on there, and then I'm gonna also sponge around the outside, just so I can carry the kind of the inside or the outside into the inside part, so that they kind of look like they all blend. Pecan pie again, and I'm using Happiest Birthday Wishes. Let me get that on there. There we go. And then grab my sponge, and I'm gonna sponge around the edges. This one I'm not roughing up, but you easily could if you wanted to. I did not though. I just carried through and did the sponging on the edges. Has anybody else done that with the scissors, like where you kind of make it rough and give it that old type look at all? Or am I the only one that does those, I don't know, different things? Okay, let's see, that one's we're gonna let set a little bit. We can glue this here piece together. We can glue this. Let's do this way. Let's put this in the inside as my berries are slowly getting tacky. There we go. And I can glue this one in, and I can add that branch when it is set. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring this up. I'm not sure if you can see, but so my berries now don't have the, like if you see on this one, you can see some of the white yet. This one here, get it over here more in the camera. This one here, it's like the glue is drying, but yet, trust me, it's very tacky. Okay, so now I should be able to work on the front of my card. So I'm gonna flip this over, and I'm gonna have the longest one. Almost grabbed the wrong one. I do have the right one, yep. The longest one. And I'm gonna put him on my card right about here. Okay, see what I'm saying? It's still really tacky, so it works perfect. Now my other berry, I'm gonna just grab my card here so I can see a little bit. I'm gonna put him, I'm gonna kind of match up down here below. I'm gonna put him off to the side a little bit on an angle. And again, he catches real nice. Let's see. Linda, you've done it before, but never, I've seen it done, but never did it before. Okay. Yeah, it was, I don't know, it's a different technique, but it seems to, I thought it was kind of cool. All right, I'm gonna add the greens in here. I want to overlap on my berries just a little bit. Tuck them in there. These are pretty good yet. This one is long, and I'm gonna snip off the bottom of him because he's just a little bit too long for me. I don't want him hanging out after a while. So we're gonna put him off to the side here. And then we have these earthen toned little pine cones. I'm gonna grab a glue dot, put one on the back of one of these, and I'm gonna put him right about in here. Okay. Then I can get my other green, maybe, and I'm gonna cover him a smidge, but not a lot, okay? If you noticed, I'm bringing everything kind of down into here where we're gonna cover that with our label. Okay, now we have 2 more little pine cones. We're gonna get them in here. Again, I'm just using a glue dot on the back of them. Tucking them in here. And we're gonna get the last one on there. There we go. And we're gonna tuck him down in there. Okay? So now what we have left is we have this that we need to put in here, and we also have our label. So we're gonna put our label, so it goes right, oops, this one I think I need to turn a little bit. There we go. Get him in there, so when I put my label, he's gonna cover it like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put some tear and tape on the back of here of my label, and then I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do that ribbon. Let me grab some tear and tape. Prep a little bit so I can make a tear and tape sandwich. Okay, I want it to go. I'm going to put it right there, stick that out of the way. Okay. Okay, so I am going to, I think which way I'm going, this way. We're going to start him up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just looping it back and forth. You can make your loops as big or as small as you want. So, totally your call. I'm going to bring them a little bit smaller. I don't want them quite as big. There we go. We're just going to loop. So I want 2 loops on each side, and then I want an end on each side as well. And then I'm going to put my piece of tear and tape over it to hold, oh my goodness, over the top to hold it, so it will look like this. Okay, add some dimensionals to the back to pop that up. I have some right here. Oops. Let's grab our glue scissors so we can do that. Cut them apart. Okay. Oops, that one just fell right off. They're pretty big, so they should hold. I'm going to cut one of these in half. They're a little bit too big here. There we go. That's better. Okay, so I'm going to pop those, take off the backings on those. There we go. And that will allow me to put my label right on the front here. And then I can trim my tails however I want. If I want them longer or short, if I want them shorter, I can trim them however I want. Okay. We're going to add our embellishments. This kit has 1 large and 2 small. Some might have it the opposite way, so put a large and a small one together. And then just pop my other small one off to the side there. To go back to the inside because we need to now add this branch. And I'm going to make sure that he is down to the bottom, so he does not look like he's hanging out in mid-air. All right, and there we go. That is card number 2. Oops, piece of fuzz on there, I guess. Okay, all righty. So card number 2 is done. Now all we need to do is our last card. I grab that, and this will be our last card for today. So, all right. I'll show you how I did a little bit of stamping on this one and how I did the inside. So we're going to get started on that. Lots of layers on this one compared to some of them. So we're going to have our gems. We're going to have a bow, have a little bit extra of crumb cake, a label. You have a perennial postage this comes from, and it's right on top of the brown piece that you're going to know that it goes with. I try to layer them in the way that they're going to go. This is going to go on top of your real red, and we're going to layer like that. Then for the inside you will have a piece of pecan pie, and you're going to have a white piece as well of the perennial postage. Okay, so let me get some of my stuff out of the way here. Set some of these off. This one uses the larger of the branch. Okay, so we need to get him on there. This is a larger one. We're going to start with this branch. It gets stamped in the early espresso ink. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, Kay. You like that one? I do. This one to me is, I like this card. I don't know, they're all pretty, but I'm not sure if I know which one exactly is my favorite. Okay, I am gonna start down here, and probably right about the second little notch is where I'm starting to line up. I'm gonna get my head in here, I know that. But that's where I'm gonna line up the bottom of my branch. Okay, there we go. Got that on there. I'm gonna let that just marinate a little bit because I did have it off the paper for a while, or up, hanging in the air here for a while. There we go. All right, it did stamp nice. We're gonna set him off to the side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and we're gonna add the little pine cones, and we're gonna add them with the pecan pie. Some of their ink off of there, yuck. All right, and these I just kind of randomly put wherever I thought maybe they should go. They did not have the little knobby parts. So I thought, well, I am just gonna throw a few of them on here because I wanted to add berries. So I'm actually only throwing on about 3 of them. And I usually try to do things like in an odd number if I can when I'm stamping. Doesn't always work that way. All right, on to the Mossy Meadow. And again, you could use like the bigger branch thing. Let me see if I've got the thing. So it does have some of these, like where you can use them all together, or they have the individual. I chose to do the individual just because to me it gave me more control of where I could put my greens. Okay, so let's get them started. We're gonna put one, let's see here. I'm gonna put one right in here, and maybe one up in here, off here. Get one slightly on there. There we go. Throw another one down in here. And I didn't want the pine cone just hanging out there by himself, so I decided to add one kind of in there. Add a couple over here. So you can add as little or as lot, or as many as you want, I guess I should say. Fill it in so you're comfortable with the way it's filled in. Okay. Remember, you can always add more, you just can't take them away. Let's see, where do we want to put some down in here? Let's go right about here. Maybe one more or 2 in here. One down in here to fill up that space. And I think that might be pretty close. I think that looks good. I'm gonna go with that. Okay. Now we're gonna grab out those berries that came with the set. And I'm gonna use Real Red. And I'm gonna throw some of them in here. Let's get that cleaned up before I stick my arm or whatever in there. I like to use the alcohol on my glass cutting board or my glass mat. It just, to me, it works really well. Okay. Let's see, make sure I've got the right one. I do not. I have the dots. We need the berries. So let's see how I want to put them in here. Yeah. I usually try to hold it on here, decide where I want to put them before I actually stamp. I don't want the berries just hanging out in outer space. There we go. And I'm going to add some at the top. I'm going to flip it now though. I want to get them kind of going down. Get a few clusters over in here. There we go. Just gives us that little bit of look. Okay, now we're going to soften this. Let me grab some paper here. Oops, let's grab one that we can use crumb cake with. I am going to use a blender brush, not the blue one, a new one, and I'm going to use crumb cake. Okay, and I'm just going to blend right over the whole thing, just to give it that little bit of softness. Again, I just didn't want the bold white, and I did not choose to use like a beige or a different color. So we are going to do a little bit of blending with the blender brush and some crumb cake. Again, you can do as little or as much as you want. Thanks, Mary. Glad you like the cards. There we go. Get a little bit more on here. Okay, now I'm going to do my label right away as long as I have my blender brush out. I'm going to do the same thing with the label, just to give it that kind of little distressed or antique-y type look, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There we go. A little bit more here. Okay. And then I also did the same thing on the inside piece. So as long as I'm kind of blending, I'm going to grab that piece and I'm going to, I just did around the edges, but I'm going to grab that and I'm going to blend that right away. Then I'll be done with blending. Christine, I think I got one of your cat hairs in my ink. Let's get him out of there. There we go. Yeah, that's what it was. Not sure if it was Tigger's or whose it was, but one of them floating around here. Okay. Keep going. We're going. There we go. A little bit more. Let's see. I need a little more at the top. It's always hard when you're blending and it's on the paper because you see the other darkness. You don't really know, unless you're going real dark, you don't know how much of it you've gotten. Okay, I think that should be good. All right, I'm done with the blending brush. I'm gonna set that off so I can finish that later, because we will need to do some stamping on that. Okay, so we can do some stamping here, and we can do some stamping on this one. That way we'll be all done with stamping before we assemble. So on the front here, what I did was I actually stamped Thinking of You, And the Thinking of You came from the Sentimental Framing one. And I used, where'd I go with it? Oh, here it is. Early Espresso ink. Okay. So let me grab the Thinking of You. And it will fit on here just perfect. And there we go. Thinking of You. I can always use those cards. All right, let's look at what we've got on the inside. As long as I've got that open, and we'll get that stamped right away. So we're going to go back to the small little branch instead of the big one like what we used on the outside. We're going to look for that second little notch at the bottom, and that's where we're going to stamp, and we're only going to stamp about this much, the top part of it. I'm still going to ink it all up though. And just be careful when you do it, because you don't. Okay, so when you do it, you want to make sure that you don't get this part caught on there, and if you do, then you're just going to have to add more greens or whatever to fill in that space. Get that out of there. Okay. Let's add our pine cones quickly. And because I went with this one, I have like the 3 little knobs, so I'm going to add 3 pine cones on those little knobby pieces. There we go. And then I'm going to add my greens with the mossy meadow. And I'm also going to add some berries to this one too. Okay, so add some greens. 3 areas for greens. If you don't want them this dark, go ahead. You can you could always stamp off, or you could use old olive if you would like. Yeah. If you want lighter colored berries, or I'm sorry, greens. Okay, that's good. Now let's move this piece out of here. We'll need that later for the ladies when they're stamping. And we're going to add some berries in here. We're using the Real Red. And what I'm going to do with the berries is I want those 4 pieces in there. I don't want all the other berries. So let me clean this up. Let me show you how I do that. There we go. Get all that off of there. Okay. So you can do it 2 different ways. You can stamp here and hope that you're not getting any of these with ink, or my favorite thing to do, and I've been using Scotch tape instead of washi tape. So I take a piece of Scotch tape, make sure I fold the end over so it's easier to grab, and then I'm going to mask those off with Scotch tape. I liked Scotch tape because to me it just seemed a little bit thinner than the washi tape, and it allowed me to get it in there where I needed it. So I'm going to ink those up good. Take that off, and now I can add my berries in here without having to get the berries all over. Okay. All right. Okay. What DSP is the, hang on, I have to see if I can see what you're asking me. This DSP, is this what you're asking me, Kay? Like, where is this DSP from? Not sure if that's your question. Okay. Let's see here. Da, 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 da. The DSP is Seasons of Green and Gold. That's where this DSP is from. So if that was what you're asking, this is the that's what the layer is from, okay? I am gonna add a little bit of Stella on those berries. I'm also gonna add some on the berries here, just because berries should glisten. Make sure I'm still in the camera. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh. There we go. Okay, so now everything should be stamped that we need to stamp. We're gonna let the inside blank other than this so you can write your message. And then we just basically need to assemble it. So let's grab the base of our card. Put that off. We're gonna start with the front. We're gonna fold and burnish this. Make sure you burnish it. I just kind of fold them when I do them, like I don't necessarily burnish those pieces for you. Okay, so assembling. Before we put this piece on, the brown on the early espresso, we want to get that ribbon going in there. Okay, this piece of thread. Oops. So let me grab my tear and tape. I'll clean up all that stuff a little bit later. Oops. Let's see here what. Okay, prep. Two little pieces I'm going to prep so that I can make that tear and tape sandwich. And then you can decide how high up you want to put these. And let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually went up to the 5th notch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was where I did mine. 5. It's kind of nice with the notches. It allows you to make sure that your paper is going to be like, or your ribbon's going to be even. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just get it right in there. And you're gonna go there, bring it back around, and there. So now we have it on there. Put that tear and tape sandwich on there to make sure that it stays. I think you would have enough, if by any chance, if you had glued this down, I think you may have just enough that you could possibly go behind the brown if it had to be, okay? I know, sometimes I forget that too, because it's like I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, I guess. Okay, we're gonna take those little pieces of tear and tape off, and then we can start getting glue happy. We're gonna add some glue to this. And we're going to attach that to the early espresso piece. Okay, we can start with our card front here. Get our red and glue that together. Glue him down. Add our designer series paper, which I said was from Seasons of Green and Gold. I'm not even sure if this paper is available anymore. I think it may have retired. There we go. Now these two pieces, we're going to glue them to the center. As long as we're gluing, I'm going to flip it over. We're going to put the pecan pie cardstock in the inside. There we go. And then we're going to add our inside piece. So you can write your lovely notes in there to whoever you're going to give that card to. I thought it was just kind of cool. I thought it just gave it a whole different vibe by putting that kind of shape in the inside. And then we need to finish up the front yet. All right, I have a label. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some, I think I have little ones here, yep. Yep, we're gonna add some little dimensionals to the back. And then we can add that right up here on the top. The backings off of those. So strange, it's getting so dark out already. I'm not liking that. Okay, get him right up here to the top. We have some gems. We're going to add those on here. We're going to add one on our label. One to kind of pull in that area and one down here. The last thing we need to do yet is we need to add our little bow. Grab a glue dot. And I'm going to put him right in here. There we go. Right. And add our ribbon. Again, you can trim your edges, your ends of your ribbon however you would like. If you want to let them long like that, you're welcome to. If you want to trim them shorter, go right ahead. Okay, so that's our third card. What do you think? Does anyone have a favorite? 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Kay likes all of them. I do too. Again, this is 3, 2, and where did I go with 1? He's stuck way over here. And 1. There we go. Those are the 3 cards that we did today. All right. Well, let's flip here. Okay, does anybody have any questions on my cards before I talk about my January, February, March, and April cards? I will be working on my May cards in probably the next week, and then when January rolls around, I should be able to hopefully be able to show my May cards as well. So let me flip down here, and I'm not exactly sure if I grabbed my January cards. Let me see if Christine has them setting off to the side. Otherwise, we'll definitely show February, March, and April. Okay, here we go. Let's see. So, February. This is February's, and February we are working with Peaceful Pier. Okay, so card number 1. You know what? Let's take him out of here. He looks much nicer out of here. Card number 1, it's Thinking of You Today. We're going to do some stamping. We're going to do a little bit of blending. I'm going to show you how I tore that paper so that it looks like they're actually together. And pop that up. The inside, I'm going to let in here. It's actually just, we just stamped some of the greens. Those are from Prairie Grass. So the stamp sets that I used for my February cards are Peaceful Pier, Prairie Grass, Elements of Text, and then I pulled in Charming Sentiments. So that was card number 1. This is card number 2. Oops, bring it down a little bit. I'm up too high. It says just because. We'll get the little boy in there. And then the inside I stamped, somebody knows, somebody cares, your name is whispered in somebody's prayers. I just thought it was just a really pretty sentiment. I really liked that one. Thanks, Connie. I'm glad you liked the cards. And then this is card number 3. Again, these are the February cards. Nice birthday card for men, where I use some of those shiny little pearls there for making it look like they have bubbles. And it's a happy birthday, and then the inside says, wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So I'll show you how I colored those fish. Okay, that's February. The YouTube live will actually be showing on Wednesday, February 11th at 3 o'clock. If anybody is going to be doing these classes in person with me, the February, March, April, and May classes are all going to be held on Saturday, May 30th at 10 o'clock. They'll start at my house. So they will, at that time, put February, March, April, and May. So they'll do 4 months of cards, okay? So these are $19 if you want them mailed. So if you, let me flip here. I'm going to do a February, March, and April promotion. So anybody that gets the kits mailed to you, if you sign up with me and sign up for February, March, and April, so 3 months, I will waive your shipping fee. So the cards will only be $19. There will not be the extra $2 for shipping, okay? I am gonna pay that for you as a thank you for purchasing the 3 months cards. So again, if you want them, please reach out to me with an email, because it's a little bit easier for me to write that down and keep track. And my email is juliebirschbach@gmail.com. When I flip the screen down, you'll be able to see again that they're there, okay? Like, and my address and everything, okay? All right. So here it is, juliebirschbach@gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Stamping in the Woods with Julie, okay? So again, these are the February cards. Let me grab the March cards. So March, we are using Charming Day, Spotlight on Nature, and Sunrise Sailing are the stamp sets. So these are the 3 cards. The first one is a thank you card. The inside is just basic, has a place for you to write your message. The third one, I made a congratulations card, and I threw it in as a wedding card. I wrote best wishes, so you could easily use it as a wedding card. Okay. And then the last one for March is actually a birthday card. So we're going to color those with some like sponge daubers, and I'll show you that. And then it says celebrate today on the inside. So that is March. Again, like I said, if you take February, March, and April cards, I will not charge you for the shipping. I will pay the shipping for you if you do the 3 months, that I can get those cards to Christine hopefully before I leave. April, the YouTube live for April is Wednesday, April 8th at 3 o'clock. And it is pulling in Notes and Totes, Prairie Grass, Charming Days, and Storybook Friends. Storybook Friends is just verbiage. So if you don't have it, a lot of that you can change up. So, okay, let me show you. This is card 1. I wanted to do something a little different. I did not want them to be all beachy looking themed. So I did the little wickery type of a handbag. Happy birthday. I threw in some butterflies, and I used the prairie grass in the back there for it to look like a little bit arch. And then the inside is to sell to someone worth celebrating every single day. Okay, so that is that one. Mary Novak, you like number 3. You like the last card the best. That one is really pretty. There's a lot of layers in it, but okay. So on to April. This is card number 3. Again, if you, on this one, this is the back side. This here is the back side of this one. If you wanted to, you could reverse it. You could have more flowery here, and you could flip that to more of the grayish color, however you want. This would be really nice. Like, you could easily insert a gift card or a little bit of cash if you were giving that. It says hello, and it lets you write a message inside. So if you have someone special you need to give that to, or someone that, a birthday, you could write it in as a birthday. You could write it as a thank you. The last one I did, it says relax and enjoy. So somebody could be going on a vacation, or you could just, again, if you want to tuck a little gift card or a little bit of cash in there, you could easily. I left the purse or the bag kind of so that you could stuff something in there. And then the inside is blank, but if you need a verbiage, we can easily stamp something on the inside. So that is card number 3, and that is April. Okay. All right, so those are the cards that I have. Let me look if she's, hang on, let me look. I'm back. I found them. All right. Sorry about that. Thanks. January. I have a few kits left for January. So if you hang on, I'll flip that down and I can show you my January cards. They're actually really, really pretty. Okay. All right. Here we go. January. The first one is this, and it's a birthday card. It's using the lights of Aurora or the Northern Lights. Not exactly sure how you say the other big word, but I'm gonna go with Northern Lights. And a thinking of you with some more Northern Lights. A little bit of, everything is die cut for you, so basically you're gonna need verbiage, okay? And the inside is left blank so that you can write your message in there. Like on the first one here too, I just heat embossed happy birthday. If you have something else that you want to put there, you're welcome to do that. The last card is I made it into a sympathy card. You do not need to make it into a sympathy card, but you'll get everything die cut for you already. So basically all you're going to do is you're going to need to assemble it and stamp whatever you would like there. This one I did use from, I think it's called From the Right Words. It says forever loved, forever remembered. I thought that was a nice sympathy message to put on cards. So these are the January cards. I think I have maybe 2 of these sets left. So if you're interested in those, so if you're interested in January cards, you would need to reach out to me pretty soon, because that would be all I would have left of those, is about 3, I think 2 or 3 kits left. So, all right. Any other questions? Thanks, Kay. I'm glad you like my cards. I really appreciate that. I love stamping with you guys. I hope you're really liking the cards. If you are, let me know. Let me know if I can help you in any way, answer any questions. You can always send me an email. I try to answer them very diligently, but sometimes life gets in the way and I don't get to them as fast as I should. So, all right. With that being said, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you again, everyone for joining me. So have a great day. Thank you.